Right. Hello. Hello. Welcome back to the Wednesday Wisdom live stream and podcast. I am your host, Ali J. Taylor. I'm also the founder and consultant from Wisdom and Wayfinder, where I help businesses find a clear path to growth and profitability through the right systems, strategies, and relationships. I'm bringing back here today Coach Robin Westerlund, and he's going to be sharing some of his wisdom because, as I always say, unless you have the secret to everlasting life and you plan to live forever, you do not have enough time to learn everything firsthand about growing, running, and scaling a business. And so I bring on experts to share their wisdom. And too many business owners and entrepreneurs are struggling with getting enough sleep. They feel stressed. They feel guilty because they work so much and they're not spending enough time on the things that they really loved and with the people that they really love. And so with a clientele spread across Finland, the USA, Sweden, Denmark, Thailand, Robin Westerlund is going to be speaking today and telling us how to transform our lives by making you sleep like a baby so you can perform like a pro. Robin, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. I'm glad to be here.
Yes. So just for everybody, we had a little bit of a technical difficulty on my end. And so I wanted to bring Robin back because I think that his message is so important for everyone to hear, especially here in American society, where everything is very go, very driven, and we are so stressed as a society. We do not get enough sleep. And so I think it's really important that you hear what Robin has to say. So, Robin, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a little quick peek into what it is that you do and how do you make our lives better?
Yeah. So what I do is basically I help entrepreneurs reach peak performance. And a lot of entrepreneurs think that they are performing at their peak already, but they neglect their sleep, or they neglect their self-care, or they neglect their families, or whatever. They neglect something. And that's not peak performance. That's maybe high performance, in the best of words, but probably not even that. It's just because you're performing better than average doesn't mean you're doing close to what you could. So what I basically do is I help high performers or semi-high performers to become peak performers. I usually do it by removing some mindset blocks around sleep habits, things like that. Or turning their inner dialogue to a more friendly frequency, if you will. Basically, turn your inner voice to support you instead of fighting against you. So, mindset and sleep is basically my expertise, and the people that hire me usually do good already, but by working with me, they start doing extraordinary. That's
Yeah, I love that. And I think the last time we spoke, I think I said something along the lines of sleep requires peace. Yes. Like good sleep requires having that peace of mind and that internal peace. And so when you work with people on their mindset and their attitudes and those types of self-limiting beliefs, it makes a difference in the quality of sleep that they're going to get.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that's a major issue among high achieving high performers, ambitious people. Their thoughts are running. They're constantly in problem solving mode, and if you're constantly in problem solving mode, it's hard to wind down at night. It's hard to get that peace you're looking for.
Yeah,
and many of us don't even remember what the peace feels like because it's been so long. It's been so long since we experienced it the last time. So I help them achieve that.
Yeah, it's a shame that so many business owners think that they have to wear themselves down. The whole hustle and grind culture. Let me work 12, 14 hours a day. Meanwhile, I'm miserable. And I'm miserable to my family. I'm miserable to my friends. I'm miserable to my clients because I'm not taking care of myself internally. I love that you're actively dealing with that sort of mindset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So do I.
Yeah.
I'm a blessed man. I get to do what I love for. I get to do what I love for a living. So yeah, it's a great feeling. Yes.
Yeah. So before we came on, we were talking about how you're located in Europe, but most of your clients are American.
Yeah.
So can you tell a little bit more about like why that is and how something like that happened?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, I'm born and raised in Finland, and that's still where I live. Most of my clients and most of my network is located in the US, and that happened for a number of reasons. One of the reasons is because Americans usually don't know about the importance of sleep. It's like it's a unheard thing of unheard. Yeah, I have a lot of clients, middle-aged, successful business owners that tell me. When they see my content or they hire me as a coach, they tell me that I'm the first person in their entire lives that they hear talk about the importance of sleep, which blows my mind. Because even in school here, like when you're 7, 8, 10 years old, we don't get sleep coaching, but at least talk about it. It's like it's one of the core pillars. It's think about what you eat, think about what you drink, think about how much sleep you get. Like if you just fix those 3 things, good things usually follow. But I feel like in America, they forget to talk about the sleep part. You know, there's all these sayings: sleep is for the weak. I'll sleep when I'm dead. I have to outwork my neighbor, etc., etc., etc. But it's it's playing business and doing business are 2 different things. Like playing business is when you just try to be as busy as possible, but busy ain't paying no bills. Busy ain't going to. This ain't going to give you the keys to the castle. What busy is doing is basically killing yourself in a painful way. And usually you neglect your family, as you said, you neglect your habits, you neglect your sleep, you neglect everything else because you're so busy building your business. But you're not really building anything. You're destroying things. So trying to be as productive as possible and really think about the things you do during the day, and you will find that a normal work day at, let's say, 8 hours or maximum 10 hours, you can get a lot of things done during those hours if you do productive work. So it's I think that's one reason why I help Americans mainly, but also I get really well along with Americans on the mindset and the competition side of things, because I love to compete. Here in Finland, when people meet me, they're like, what's wrong with you? Like you always have to compete, like you always try to win. And that's like how I'm wired. It's always been that way. When I compete for the win. I compete for blood, if you will. It's just in my nature. I can't turn it off.
Yeah.
But I don't try to like out-compete my neighbor in who sleeps less, because that's not like that's not a competition I want to win. There's no point in that. Like there's no prize.
It's a race to the bottom. Like who wants to there's no trophy for that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really bad race to participate in. So
actually I'm wrong. There is a trophy for that. It's called a coffin.
Yeah, you're right.
An early coffin,
Yeah.
So what's one of, just from a medical standpoint, what is, we're told that we're supposed to get like 8 hours of sleep per night. A lot of people brag about how they sleep on 4 or get through with like even less than that.
Yes.
Have you noticed, or what can you say to the levels of productivity or the levels of accomplishment between someone who's consistently getting 8 hours of sleep per night versus somebody who's consistently getting like 5 or less?
Yes. Yeah, I have a lot to say, and there's a lot of studies done. I feel like sleep is becoming more and more. People are getting more and more aware of the bad things that happens when you're sleep deprived, which I'm really happy to hear. Like I have no problem recommending other sleep experts, like books, podcasts, videos. If people start taking their sleep seriously, I'm the happiest man on earth, even if they hire me or someone else, because what you basically is doing when you start optimizing your sleep or like taking it seriously is you're you're making your lifespan longer. You're gonna live longer. Like I can't guarantee that something else, something bad doesn't happen during your life. But let's say it doesn't.
Right.
If everything goes as it should, and you optimize your sleep, you will live longer. And there's tons of studies done on this. And one of the most common causes that happens when you're sleep deprived for a long time is it's much easier for you to get a heart attack. And we talk like multiple hundreds of percents bigger risk of you getting a heart attack if you sleep less than 5 hours per night compared to someone that sleeps 7 hours or more. So that's one thing. But it's not only the heart attacks. It's basically any major disease or like accidents are usually because of someone falling asleep at the wheel, someone falling asleep at when they're flying the airplane, etc. Chernobyl, if you know what that is, the very big nuclear catastrophe that happened here in Europe, in Ukraine, in the 1987 or 89. What happened was the guys at work fell asleep. They had been working night shifts for like 2 weeks. They fell asleep, forgot to do their work, and it hurt basically the entire Europe for a long time. There's still radiation here in some places, and it's more than 30 years.
That's crazy.
So
all because someone didn't take care of themselves. Now you have this long-term devastating impact that's still being cleaned up today.
Yes, exactly. And I'm not sure if we should blame the guys at work if it's their fault or if it's the employer's fault, because he's the one that forced them to work night shifts.
I mean, I'm inclined to blame the employer. Because it's like, why didn't you have things set up? Why didn't you have like multiple shifts? Why didn't you have enough employees so that they weren't feeling so the resources weren't so strained that people felt like they couldn't take time to take care of themselves.
And so there are like we could talk for 1 hour only about like the impact lack of sleep has, but there's basically what happens is the risk of everything going south multiplies. I know like with myself what happens with me if I don't get enough sleep, which is very, very uncommon, but I became a father in the end of December. So I have newborn twins.
Congratulations again. Yep.
Thank you. So my twins are fairly newborn still. And because of that, our sleep has been a bit off lately, like most off that it's ever been for me personally. What happens to me when I'm sleep deprived is I get really clumsy and I start forgetting things. Like I even forget like stuff I would never forget otherwise, where I put my car keys, where I put my phone, why I walked into the room. And I also get grumpy. Like I have no tolerance for BS whatsoever.
And that coupled with your already like competitive spirit, I'm sure is great.
Yeah, it's I don't like the person I become when I'm sleep deprived, and that's also I have a really hard time understanding why people like glorify it. It's like, oh, I only sleep 4 hours. If I have slept 4 hours per night, I don't want to meet anyone else. Like I don't want to talk to people because I know I won't be showing up as the best version of me. Like I'm basically gonna show up as the opposite of who I want to be, and that's nothing to brag about. It's like lock that guy into the closet until I get some sleep. Don't let him out. That's nothing to brag about. It's and I know people are similar. Like other people experience similar things, because that's why a lot of people are stressed out. They are grumpy. They have a really short temper. They do stupid things, because also your common sense shuts down when sleep deprived. Basically, what happens is your brain can't function at full capacity when you're sleep deprived. So it has to turn some stuff off. And if it feels like common sense is not necessarily for survival, it might shut that off. Or like your short-term memory, like why you walked into a room or where you put your car keys, that's just like everyday crap. We don't need it to survive. It's helpful, but we don't need it to survive, so we shut it off.
But it's also with that, like So if your brain is shutting off like you're like a power saver on a computer where it's shutting off the least essential systems to make sure that the most critical systems are performing and functioning.
Mm-hmm.
If your brain is shutting off like your short-term memory and then you're still not getting to sleep, which is typically when we sleep, that's when short-term memory is converted into long-term memory.
Yes.
Right. We know that. So it's like you're screwing yourself on both ends in terms of that.
Yes, correct. And what, like, for you to be able to learn, for like to stick in your memory, what you need to do is to sleep well before you try to learn it, but also after you've read or like gone through the content, the stuff, the information you wanted to learn, to store it. So you need sleep before and after. And like when you look at high schools, colleges, that ain't happening. So, how much information getting lost. People pay like hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to these schools. But they're like, how much do they actually remember afterwards? It's like
barely any.
The schools should be like mandatory for the students to get proper sleep. I get it that like they want to be out and porting and doing things. I'm not telling them to like not have a life and only sleep, but there should be some sort of balance. Like
well, there's something to be said about the quality of life that you're going to have if you're going to go out and do those things.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, look, I love a good power nap. I remember when I used to work, so I was a bartender and I also worked at Starbucks. So I would, make drinks during the day and then make coffee drinks at night. So that was like what I would do. And I worked like really long hours, and I remember, I would only get like a 30-minute, break or whatnot, but I'd go into the back room, sleep on the long, hard plastic tables and take like a power nap. People always be like, how are you able to do that? And it's like, because I'm freaking tired and my brain like needs it. Like,
No, and power naps there are multiple studies done on power naps as well. They are really working. The key people, this is one of the most common questions I get, by the way, even though you didn't ask. I'm going to say it anyway. So power naps do work, but the key takeaway with power naps is to keep it a power nap, not a midday 4-hour nap. Because if you do the midday 4-hour nap, then it hurts your next night's sleep. But if you keep it 60 minutes or shorter, it's a power nap. I think like studies show that the golden time for power naps is 37 minutes. But okay. I personally, if I get an hour or like an hour or less, it gives me the effect I'm looking for. It's like coffee on steroids. And I know, I know the supplement market is a really big thing in the US as well. So if you want the best supplement on the market, take a power nap.
Take a power nap because it's free. You don't have to keep spending all of your money on Red Bull and Monster Energy drinks or even coffee. Even though as much as I love coffee, and I used to time my power naps for about 21 minutes. And what I would do is I would drink some coffee beforehand and then go take a nap because the caffeine takes about 20 minutes to circulate. So I'd wake up and it's like, boom, that's just when the caffeine is hitting me. But as I get older, I don't want to rely on those types of stimulants in order to keep myself going. One, because of, just some of the studies and things that you've referenced, but just having that sort of need for something just doesn't feel great.
Right? Agree. And I don't want to upset every coffee drinker because I drink coffee myself. I do, but I keep it to 2 or maximum 3 cups per day, and I try to get all my cups before noon. So I usually drink 2 cups in the morning when I wake up, and if I really need one or like really feel like I really crave a coffee right now, I drink a coffee. But I don't drink the sugar spiked 3,000 calories cream whipped. When I say coffee, I mean coffee
like with black coffee,
or black. It's either of. So it's not. That's a coffee. The other things that's a milkshake. That they call
just sugar. That's just a diabetic shock just waiting to happen.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's crazy. So what kind of, so like when you work with your clients, what's one of the first things that you address with them when they come to you, whether it's to improve their performance inside of their work, or just they know that you're recognized as like the sleep coach, right? What's one of the first things that you actually work with them through?
So one of the first thing is we have to make the bed and wake up time consistent, because that's also one of the most powerful tools I can give anyone. If you stay consistent with your bedtime and your wake up time, your sleep quality will improve by default. Like if I didn't teach you anything else, if I could only teach you one thing, that would be the thing, because your quality will improve by that alone. Yeah. Because your body is always looking for ways to create a habit, because your body thrives of habits, because habits means it saves a lot of energy, and saving energy is your body's and brain's main function, because the more energy that you have, the bigger the chances you survive. So every habit you create saves you energy, because your brain doesn't have to think all the time, when should I do this, when I should do this. That's why people that don't like have a structure on when they work, when they train, when they sleep, etc., usually don't do that, because they're like, I'll do it when I feel like it. I do it when I have time. Well, if you're busy and work 18 hours per day, you never have the time. So the first thing is to make it consistent, and like inside of that, making it consistent is like make it a non-negotiable. So most business owners are very strict with like their meetings, their sales calls, their whatever. When it's like business related, they're like, I put it in my calendar. I haven't missed a meeting in 14 years. And I'm like, well, how many nights of sleep have you missed in the last 14 years? They're like, yeah, well, I can't count it for. And I'm like, so what would happen if you put go to bed in your calendar? They're like, well, then I would get a notification on my phone, and that would annoy me. I'm like, you're not really paying attention. Like, you're not really paying attention. That's the point. You should get a notification in your phone, so you remember to go to bed. And when the alarm goes off, or like the notification pops up, you follow it. You look at it as an investment in your business, because it is.
Yes.
So
it's an investment in yourself. It's investment in your business. It's what makes everything else possible.
Yes. Right. That's the thing. Yeah. That's the thing. And there are like, I'm going to mention a few other things that happens when you sleep well, that like improves your life as a business owner, or life overall. So you will become a better decision maker when you sleep well, because you will be able to think more clearly. Like the brain fog, you will have less brain fog, which makes it easier to make decisions. You will be less grumpy, which will make it easier to make logical and not emotional decisions. You will eat better the following day. Studies show that people that sleep less than 6 hours eat on average 400 calories more per day than those that sleep more than 6 hours. So and that's because, again, when you stay up, you burn more calories than when you're asleep, of course. So the next day you will be more hungry, and you will also, the resistance to stand strong against sweets or fast food or whatever will be less, because the resistance is not possible, is not necessary for survival. Again, your brain is only going to feed you with the thoughts, I'm hungry, I'm grumpy, I need something sweet, I need something with a lot of fat, whatever. So I'm going to eat whatever. I'm going to order 3 hamburgers and eat a pizza for dinner. Who cares? I'm too tired to care today. That's what a lot of people say. And
I just want the calories. I just want the energy. Just feed me, Seymour, like that whole thing.
Yes, exactly. Once again, your main, like your brain's main function is as much energy as possible when the day ends. But sometimes it only cares about like the energy right now. And your brain is really good at arguing to get like, it wants stuff and it wants it now. Like long-term thinking is not, that's something you have to train yourself on, because your brain only cares about pleasure right now. So we have to fight against that. So it's it's all these like these famous entrepreneurs like Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, that like brag about working 20 hours per day. Yes, great business owners. But how? What I always think about is like how good could they have been if they slept more? Like if they were touching their full potential, because I can promise you they weren't, because it's not possible to do that. Like if you live 20 years, 30 years without sleeping, you're not even smelling at your full potential, because it's not possible.
Wow.
It's and not to like talk shit about dead people or like people that are way ahead of me, but also it's not this is like not from a business standpoint, but from a relationship standpoint. They had terrible relationships. Yes, I think Elon Musk have been divorced 3 times, and Steve Jobs got like very ill, like he got very sick because of his unhealthy habits. So it's great at business, but if you neglect everything else, that's usually how it goes. Like
and I'm so glad that you said that, because one, it's like, well, first of all, just the assertion that even with all of the success, the results that Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, probably even Bill Gates, had produced in their lives, it's like you're saying they could have done more if they were consistent and prioritize their sleep.
Yes.
That's like wild to think about,
It is. And few people are willing to actually think about it. But I'll die on this hill, because I'm really certain of that, because there's so many studies that like I'm not just sitting here and telling you, oh, I like to sleep, so you should sleep. Like
right. No, there's actual data, there's actual information.
There's a lot of data.
Yeah. And I think there's something else that you pointed to as well, with like the brain is always like looking for that immediate pleasure, that immediate satisfaction, a shortcut to conserve energy and calories. And I'll just say this I know a lot of the men that are out there, they do things to try to achieve and get all these results so that they can also get the women that they want. Like, how does the lack of sleep affect your performance in the bedroom, right? Like we've been talking about the boardroom, but how does it also affect how you perform in the bedroom?
Well, I'm glad you asked. because I'm just going to go straight for the point. First and foremost, it makes your balls shrink, so your balls will get smaller, which is usually a sign that your testosterone levels are going down.
Okay.
And men that sleep less than 6 hours per night look on average 10 years older than the people that sleep more than 6 hours per night. So let's say you and me are the same age, and I sleep less than 6 hours, you sleep 7.5, and you get like really deep sleep and great sleep. And I just hustle, and sometimes I sleep 4, sometimes 2, sometimes 6, whatever. I will look and feel at least a decade older than you.
Right.
Yes. And that's not a really pleasant thing to think about as a man. Like you try to stay sharp, you try to stay attractive, whatever you want to.
Yeah.
You want to be the alpha, whatever. It's if we're both 30 years old and I feel like 40, it's like you're going to run circles around me. There's no way around me. And what I find really fun about all these people that claim to be alpha, which is first and foremost the first time that they're not, because people that are alpha doesn't call themselves alpha. What I feel like is hilarious is they always talk about like, oh, I never sleep. Like sleep is for the weak.
Right.
So and the only image I get in my head when they talk about it is like, dude, you're like, your testosterone levels are like non-existent. Like you claim to be an alpha, but your balls are like not. Yeah, you can't. It's overcompensating at the like highest level. It's it's like the opposite.
It's definitely that overcompensation. It's definitely I've been around people who have declared themselves the alpha and all this other stuff, and I'm like, you're like the little kid on the playground who didn't get enough attention, so you have to do everything that you can to prove something.
That's it. Yeah. So that's the first step. Your balls are shrinking, your testosterone level are dropping. So that's a bad thing. Like the low testosterone levels for a man, that's bad. Like, because you won't feel like a man, basically.
Yeah.
And the easiest way to naturally raise your testosterone levels is to improve your sleep. That's the healthiest and like easiest way to do it. There are, of course, supplements. I know I know people do all these crazy stuff to raise the testosterone level, but you should start with optimizing your sleep. And if your T levels are still low, then you can maybe look at some supplements. But most people try to biohack their way around the fundamentals. It's like they start at the wrong end. It's so people.
Yeah, they'll buy some like herb or supplement that that some other podcast host was hawking. They'll do anything but just get a good night's sleep and start eating right and
yes, anything but the real work. Yes, that's the thing, because one of the most common questions I also get is like, what supplements do you recommend? And I'm like, none. Right. And people are like, what the fuck?
Wait, what do you mean there's no pill? What do you mean I do work?
Give me a pill. I'm like, no, I don't work that way. We work the real way, where we actually do the thing, the real thing, the thing that works, the things that will help you for the rest of your life, without you getting addicted. I can admit, I think I'm addicted to sleep, actually, but not to sleeping pills, like to great sleep. Because damn, I feel unstoppable when I wake up in the morning and I've slept good. I'm like, just nobody is beating my ass today. It's like, it's a good ass day to kick some ass. So and people ask me like, oh, how are you so energized? Do you do coke? I'm like, dude. It's like, I drink my water, I exercise, and I get proper sleep. That's the secret. Yeah.
Like, no way, he's got to be on drugs.
Yes. It's actually like, if it's been some time since I attended a party, but back in the days when I attended parties, people ask me all the time, like, dude, do you have some coke? I'm like, what the like, why? But because I can see that you're taking it. I'm like, no, I'm just
no.
This is just how I am. It's like it's It's
like that old school drug campaign. It's like, don't get high on drugs, get high on life. But it's like, that's literally what you're doing. You're just getting high on sleep.
And it's I also think, or like lately I've thought about it. I think I sleep well for multiple reasons, because I do the work to optimize my sleep. But I think also me talking a lot. I'm really extroverted, as you probably can tell. Because I talk so much, my brain is so exhausted when I go to bed at night, because I talk so much. It's just like, finally he's silent. Like, let's get the sleep while we can. So it's So
no, I totally relate to that. The most tired days that I have is when I've done a lot of talking. I've done a lot of, because even whether it's in person or online, you're giving out that energy to the room, to the activity that you're engaged in. But especially as you're speaking, it's like when you got to make your points, when you're trying to deliver something, that takes energy.
Yes.
So, I mean, I can tell that, especially as I do more public speaking and make that a part of, what I do to grow my business. You were sharing before that you've done over 20 speaking engagements, and you're planning to do more. It's you have to take care of yourself like it's an asset, because it is.
It is.
Like your body, your brain, all of those things. It is going to be the biggest moneymaker for you, as if you're someone who speaks a lot. But especially if you're the CEO, you have to be the example for your employees. You can't just say like, okay, we're going to have the unlimited PTO and vacation days and people take their time off. But if you're not setting that example for the people that are following you, they're not going to feel comfortable to do that either.
Correct. Yeah. I fully agree. And like we talked about Steve Jobs and Elon Musk and these guys before, but like I have one guy that I look up to a lot in my life. Like he's basically like kind of doing the same thing as me, but like at the absolute like highest possible level, and that's Tim Grover. And for those that aren't familiar with Tim Grover, he's basically mindset / performance coach. He used to be for Michael Jordan. Worked with Michael Jordan for 13 years. He was also a coach to Kobe Bryant and a lot of other big ballers. I think Tom Brady had him on a retainer as well. I know for a fact that Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan had him as their personal coach when they both were the best players in the world. And Tim Grover tells, like he talks about, like, when people brags to him about not sleeping, he just laughs at them and tell them that just tells me that you don't know how to be productive. And if the guy that coached Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant tells you that should, like, maybe he's on
that something. You should pay attention.
Yes. It's you can be a real, like, basically, if you want to be the best in the world, optimize your sleep. If you want to be a little bit better than average, well, do whatever. Do whatever you want. It's going to be as good as possible, as I know a lot of people listening to this want to, and a lot of Americans overall want to, and people in other places as well. You really have to take care of yourself. There's no way around it.
Exactly. Yeah. Like none of the other stuff happens without you. So if you're not taking care of yourself, why should any of the other things that you're building or pouring energy into take care of you as well?
Yeah. Very well said.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So let's see. So how do you foresee things sort of changing? Do you like, we were talking a little bit before just about the conversation and how American society, tends to not prioritize sleep, not prioritize self-care. But then, over in European countries, there is that sort of, it's baked into the culture. Do you see things shifting? Have you seen, like, notice a shift happening? Just in society?
I think, or you mean if things will change in America or like worldwide?
I mean, definitely starting with America, because we're just the worst at it.
I think. So how I look at it is, I see it as my responsibility to make it, to change the American culture, which might be hard to do alone, but, like, I'm up for a challenge. As I said, I love to compete. So
you love to compete. You love to win.
I just need to like help enough entrepreneurs with it, and the word will spread. Like, because entrepreneurs usually are responsible for more people, and, like, it's becomes a ripple effect. But why I wanted to change in America is, well, first and foremost, it's a terrible situation over there. But it's a lot of countries, Finland also, usually take example from America. So usually, like, when you do something over there, it usually comes to Sweden, which is our neighbor country, in between 1 to 5 years, depends on what the change is. But Sweden usually copies what you do, and then about 2 years later we copy it, like in Finland.
Gotcha.
But it's not only Sweden and us; it's also, like, most other European countries. And this is for good and for bad. Like, good inventions, good stuff that usually happens here with a few years delay, but also good things. Like, so that's why I think it's important. Like, if we want to change the world, if we want to make the world sleep better, we should aim to change America first. And the hard thing about it is because a lot of people come to America or, like, work really hard in America because of the American dream, which is a good thing. Like, the idea is a good thing. Like, if you work hard enough, you can achieve anything you want. And I agree with that. I'm all for hard work, but does it matter if you became a millionaire if you die at 32 because you worked yourself to an early grave? Not at all. No, so it's again the balance. I don't even like the word balance, but there is an in between. As humans, we always think in extremes. We think it has to be like 0 or 100. We never think about all the steps between, like steps 1 to 99. There are a lot of steps in between. So you can work really, really hard and still achieve your goals. And like, you can be healthy, you can have a loving family, you can have great relationships, you can have a 6-pack and be a millionaire, whatever your goals are. But you
just have to do it in the right way.
Yes. Yeah. And you have to start from the foundation. You don't build a house from the roof. You start from the ground. But like I'm against the biohacking community, because biohacking usually means what we talked about, like we skip the foundations and we just buy a pill or a bottle or a needle or a whatever. We do everything else than the actual work. So that's playing busy, or like playing healthy, or playing whatever you want to call it, playing business. That's not the real game. You're not even participating in the real game. You're just it's you're just coming up with shit to avoid doing the real work because it's boring or whatever.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who avoid the really important critical work by making themselves look busy, or just filling it up with other things. And I love what you said like earlier in the conversation about putting things into your calendar, putting your sleep schedule into your calendar, like make it an appointment, make it like a non-negotiable. Like that is such an inversion of how entrepreneurs and business owners typically think. So I'm glad that you're pushing that.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it. It's really helpful. It's helped a lot of my clients. It's one of the it's an easy thing to do. It's just put it in your calendar. You know how to put stuff in your calendar because you do it all day. And if you don't know, let your assistant do it. Whatever.
Right.
So, not knowing how to do it that's the worst excuse I've ever heard. And then the next worst excuse is I don't have time. Like I can do it because I don't have time. Well, that just means you have to remove something else from your calendar. That's it.
Yeah, it's not a timing issue. It's a bullshit issue. Like you're just it's not a priority for you.
So if you take this bullshit you just gave me and you remove that from the calendar, now you have the time. There's an empty slot in your calendar now. You can put it there. So
awesome.
Not having the time to invest in yourself and like your future health and whatever, a long and fulfilled life. That's pretty weird.
Yeah, it really is. All right. So as we wrap up, I always ask, what's one piece of wisdom you'd like to leave with our audience today?
Great question. So I think my favorite quote is actually not sleep related, but it's performance related. And I learned this while I studied to become a mental performance coach, which is my education. I maybe didn't add it in the beginning, but I'll tell them now for the people that are still listening. So my favorite quote, my teacher told me during this education, he told me, Robin, I want you to remember, it's really, really important for you to remember, because he saw like I based my entire life around one thing. And that was, or like I based my entire identity around one thing. And it was, the quote he told me was, your performance does not equal your self-worth. And when he said that, I could see my life flash before my eyes. Not like I was going to die, but like every time I felt good in my life was when I had performed well. And every time I felt like this is the worst day ever was when I had performed in a bad way. And I almost got like tears in my eyes when he told me that. I think I've never reflected so much over one sentence in my life, because I still reflect on it almost daily. And this was 5 years ago now. And so it's really important, especially for high performers, to remember that. Like, even if you make the sale or don't make the sale, I think your wife will still loves you when you get home. Or like, if your mom is still alive and you call her and tell her, I had a shitty day, do you still love me? Do you think she will tell you no? Oh, you didn't close the sale. Yeah, well, you're a piece of crap. Don't call me.
Yeah, I'm disowning you.
So that's my favorite quote I've ever heard, actually. Yeah. And it had a really, really big impact on my own life. And after that, my performance have gone like it usually went like this, up and down, up and down, up and down. It's like the baseline of my performance have increased tremendously, because now I don't put as much emotion, and like I don't put as much pressure on the performance, which funnily makes me perform much better. And
you've separated the person from the performance.
Yes, exactly. Because when I started thinking about like, would my wife still love me? would my kids still like I didn't have kids then, but now, like, do you think my twins would be happy to see me when I come home from work?
Yeah.
If I closed the deal or didn't close the deal, if I scored the goal, if I didn't score the goal, of course they don't give a shit. They just want to see me. They just want to spend time with me. Like, so that's the sentence. Your performance does not equal your self-worth. It's keep repeating it for as many times as it's needed. I need to repeat it. As I said, I still repeat it almost daily, but it's helped me. It took my mental health to a much better place. So
well, I'm glad it did, and I love that. I love that statement, and I think it's so incredibly important for every entrepreneur or business owner to hear that and really take that in and embody that. So Robin, how do we reach you? How does anybody listening to this, if they want to get some help with their performance and develop better sleep habits, how do they contact you?
They can contact me at performancecoachrobin@gmail.com or just at Coach Robin on LinkedIn or at my name Robin Westerlund on Facebook. It's you can send me an email. I'll get back to you. You choose. I'll see it. Any platform you contact me on, I'll see it. Just reach out. Don't be shy.
All right. Awesome. Well, Robin, I'm so glad that we took the time to do this again. Like I said at the beginning, I think your message is incredibly important for a lot of business owners to really hear. And I hope that they take to heart what you said about your performance does not equal your self-worth. We deserve to have good sleep. We deserve to perform at our best. We deserve to reach our highest performance and expectations of what we're capable of. And so thank you again for sharing your message today.
Thank you for having me. I had a blast once again. We should talk more often. It's always a good time.
Yeah. This is a lot more fun. I like this one.